Welcome to the UDP broadcast, a podcast where a group of friends get together and offer both informed and uninformed opinions on gaming related topics. I'm Luminary Weekly, and I'm accompanied today by my co hosts, Imee, the Eternal Barcode,
Hello, angry barcode noises.
and from the Emerald Dream, Reyna.
Also known as crit, which I would say crit crit boom.
Tonight we're
Isn't that
talking
a song?
No, it's click click boom.
Oh, that's what it was.
clack, clack, boom. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah.
But it's perfect for a bumpkin.
Absolutely.
Grit, grit, boom. Yeah, I wish I knew the lyrics to that because all I can do is hum it afterwards. I guess I could unintelligibly like say the lyrics. But tonight we're talking about phishing, taxes, and trust. But before we get into that, long awkward silence. Yes, no.
Dun dun dun.
Before we get into that, we don't really. Well, we do have a gift sub button on our channel, but we also take donations for the Trevor Project. Why? Because they are fantastic, and Lumi's got all the details.
Absolutely, that's where I was going, and my brain just went and scene.
That's fine. That's why I covered. Oh,
awesome. So. Oh my God, I can't.
So the Trevor Project is a charity that is U.S. based that is dedicated to ending youth suicide among trans and LGBTQ people. They do wonderful work, and we're more than happy to support them. So you can, if you don't want to actually subscribe to the channel, you can hit the donate to charity button, and you will be able to donate money to the Trevor Project.
Absolutely. The focus is to support this organization and to get their wording for them. The Trevor Project is a leading organization working to end LGBTQ youth suicide in the U.S. and beyond. The nonprofit operates several programs to help prevent and respond to the public health crisis of LGBTQ youth suicide, including 24/7 free crisis services, research, advocacy, education, and peer support. We have dedicated that any revenue taken over the Luminary Weekly or UDP broadcast IPs across multiple platforms, Patreon, Spotify, Twitch, YouTube, you name it. If we make money on those on those IPs, 10% of all revenue will be donated in addition to what you donate or anything that you add in through Twitch. So typically, just showing up, you're doing a good thing. Subscribing is not
Yes.
required. Giving us money is not required. Hopefully, this will pay for itself, and you'll be doing a good thing at the same time. So
Yes, come to the stream, help charity.
exactly.
Woo!
Watch the stuff, do the things, and
Yes, watch all the pre-roll ads.
yes, indeed.
Do it. Watch all of them.
So, other than that, let's get into the fishing subject because we were going to go down the
Yes.
fishing hole
Uh,
with a certain popular AI name. Rena, what was that AI name again?
Chat GPT.
Fantastic. I believe it
popular, quote unquote.
was indeed. And you posted all the stuff on that. Why don't you tell us what you found and your opinion on it?
Well, I initially saw something on Facebook of all places because there was an issue involving Facebook through a malicious fake Chat GPT thing, or I guess like a Chrome extension. So I guess a lot of people have been wanting to download this Chat GPT AI thing or whatever for whatever reason. But for people that were actually, as many people were going after the original one, there were people that were going after the duplicate one that was pretty much disguised as GPT, but it was actually a malicious extension. So initially, they had access to your Facebook account after you installed it, and they would lock you out of the account, post malicious things to your account, get you banned, and that's all she wrote. But apparently, it's also been used to have an increase in malicious emails, phishing emails, and on top of other things. So it's be careful what you click. Don't always trust this GPT thing, even though it looks shiny and new. It doesn't always mean it's safe. It's kind of like when you, like back in the day, when you thought that you were going to get like this really magical, fancy cursor for your computer mouse, and you ended up getting a computer virus out of it. Same thing.
But
Um,
but they gave you the fancy mouse cursor though, with all the sparkles flowing behind it. Yeah,
Yeah, it's
yeah.
kind of like, okay, I'm going to download ChatGPT. Ha ha ha. Oh, wait, what's this? I'm only trying to look smart. Why am I locked out of my account? Why is my credit card information stolen? What happened to my social security number? You downloaded the wrong GPT, buddy.
Indeed. Yeah, I looked a bit further into that. So what was interesting about that is that they somebody had taken the code for ChatGPT for the app and then added the malicious code to it, and it was almost indistinguishable from the authorized app, which was kind of interesting. Yeah, no, like it's pretty hardcore because they, I mean, it had actually been out for a while. Reading the article bits that you posted up, and they had put in for advertising after it had already been established because it had already been approved through the Google Chrome store. So it was just sitting there waiting to be done. When they started paying for ads, it was actually leading to it first, as opposed to the appropriate ChatGPT program. So when people thought they were getting their own language AI assistant, they were getting garbage. Or they were getting the language AI assistant, but it was also going through getting all your passwords and everything else. The next thing you know, oh no, my name is Lisa Chivers on Facebook, and I'm sending all my friends links to go download this extension, and it just kind of self perpetuates. It's really nasty.
Yeah, it's kind of unfortunate that people don't. Well, sometimes it's hard to tell, but a lot of people just don't pay attention to what they're downloading on the Chrome store. And yeah, it'll get removed eventually. The problem is it's got to be discovered first and then, reported. Then they have to verify the claim and all that crap. It is the one thing I will give credit to the Apple store, as much as I hate Apple and the way it's set up, is that you have to submit your source code for your app to them to be reviewed, or at least that was up until about 4 years ago, because that was the last time I checked. Because screw Apple, personal opinion, but screw them. Um, but that's the thing. Like with Apple, you have to submit your source code. It has to get reviewed by Apple before it's posted. With the Google Play Store, you don't have to, and the same with to that extent with the extensions for Chrome. It doesn't have to get reviewed; it just gets submitted, and they go over whatever criteria it is. But they definitely do not look at your source code, or else stuff like that would have been, found out right away, and they would have removed that kind of or blocked that from being posted. And if you're not like, it also harkens back to a really big important thing. If you're not using something, log out of it. And yeah, it's a hassle to log back into Facebook or Twitter or whatever else. But if you're not using it, stay logged out, because that way, if you do get like a malicious download, you're better protected, because at least if you've got multi-factor authentication enabled, it'll have a harder time getting access to your account because you've got your phone with the authenticator on it or whatever other authentication method you're using. Hopefully, it is not SMS two-factor authentication, because that can be easily spoofed as well.
I think what's really scary about that, like, it harkens back to what I was saying, and I can't remember if it was host chat or wherever it was, but like the two-factor authentication thing is great. Like that, I don't go any places. I think somebody was using Zorgon's guides for a
Cyber
while.
guides.
Yeah, and they
Yeah.
don't have They don't have two-factor authentication, and they store your credit card information. So I will never use a Zyger guide ever. Like everything I have is locked behind like one or two extra layers of protection, just because like I don't know about you guys, but like my entire livelihood, rides on everything that I do, right? But what's scary about all that, regardless if you have all of the double, triple checks and whatnot, is that once you're logged in and you get your session token, if that gets taken,
Oh yeah, you're absolutely foobarred.
Yeah. And I think that was the other problem with this extension too, is the fact that it would get your session tokens. It was able to go through the repository. So, yeah, some crazy shit.
Always, 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 always make sure you have multi-factor authentication.
Hmm. Always protect
That's
yourself.
not, and that's not a fishing hole that you actually want to visit.
No.
I'm sorry, it had to be there.
It's good. Yeah, no, fishing's a big thing. I had actually sat there after I had read that. I was like, and I believe it or not, that actually came out at a really good time whenever you posted that on Twitter because I had just got finished watching Kit Boga um, make a scammer cry. Right.
That always makes me happy.
It does. But I sat there and I was like, the neighborhood I'm in actually has a lot of older folks in it. I'm wondering if it'd be worth, because they use the community center and whatnot. I thought maybe it might be worth, like putting together like an internet safety course that's free and like renting out one of the rooms at the library or the community center and like host it every week or something, just to kind of
Yeah.
get the word out there.
It's probably for the best that you do that to actually spread awareness, because I know a lot of the senior citizens are susceptible to scams, even in emails and whatnot. Like, even there was an inaccuracy or something happening on my mom's TV, of all things, where it popped up with a QR code.
Mm-hmm.
And so this one person was like, they ended up calling my mom, and my brother was here at the time too.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like saying, okay, well, on this, you just have to go in and add such and so name to the authorization. I looked over and I was like, Mom, hang up the phone right now. I was like, because I think it was like, it was some, because they were trying to get like really testy and really like aggressive towards her.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, as someone that actually works in customer service and for a reputable company, I don't think that you should be responding to any kind of customers in a very aggressive and
Oh hell no.
fast rate of speed, um, tone to your customer, trying to encourage them to speed it along or whatever, and try to like, because that's what they try to do is, hey, I'm going to speak fast. You do this, you do this, you do this, insert this or whatever. I'll just take your money, whatever. Just to
Yeah,
kind
they
of like,
just badger you into submission.
so I said, hang up the phone, tell this fucko to, shut the fuck up and, go
Drop
fuck his hat.
dead.
Sir, I need you to STFU if you don't mind, please.
There's a bag of dicks with your name on it. I recommend you eat it.
So next time I get a call like that, I'm gonna like see about masterminding a way to actually troll them. I think I kept them on the phone one time for like about 2 hours. I was like, okay, thank you. I heard enough. But I don't need your services, so bye.
Yeah, it'd definitely be worth it. If it's something I end up doing, I'll probably reach out to Kit Boga and see through his business address and see if I can actually use some of his videos as like demonstrations of what it's like dealing with these folks, so that way they get an idea, right? Who knows? It might be funny. It might be educational. It might get Kit Boga some more exposure because he's doing the good work.
Yeah, me and Imi actually watched a couple of Kit Boga videos together because I kind of forced him to.
Yeah, his content is entertaining. Like it's definitely fun to watch how badly people get screwed over. As far as the what am I trying to say here? As far as the scammers go, watching them get screwed over, but it's nice to learn about the tactics these people use to try and coerce you into doing whatever the hell they're trying to get you to do. So
Well,
it is nice to take that as sort of like a, this is what to expect if you get these kind of phone calls. If you start hearing this, this is, the reason why you're hearing this sort of shit.
Mm-hmm.
see, I don't know if I told you guys or not, but I used to be a former fraud analyst for Verizon.
Ooh.
So I would always use like programs as LexisNexis, see if the person on the landline phone was deceased or whatever. There's such things as PBX hacking, where the hackers would go into like a a business phone line and actually try to invade one of the voicemail boxes, like empty. They would try to hack into that, or like if you had like an office where you had multiple phone lines, if they saw one was actually open and not being used, they would try to hack into that and just like redirect phone calls or whatever. And a lot of that was like happening in Great Britain. Um, and between that and the party lines and whatnot.
Oh,
So
party lines.
yeah. So
Jesus.
I learned different things, and I think one of the things that actually made me open up my eyes to phishing and the hacking and stuff like that is when you learn about this, it's not just stealing passwords. Essentially, they're ruining people's lives. They, like this one hacker that we learned about, or the scammer, I guess, uh, like they promised this elderly gentleman, like, hey, if you give us $5,000 here, you can get this really nice car, da da da. Oh, you didn't give enough money, so you have to give an additional 5,000. And I think over time, I think he just gave this person about $30,000, expecting that because the guy had like dementia, he didn't know or whatever. So realizing um, that he lost all this money and he didn't get in his car, I'm not even gonna bring it up, but you can already probably know where that led. And after that moment, I kind of became, I wanted to raise more awareness towards that for the senior citizens, especially those that do suffer with dementia, and those that are usually susceptible to those kind of situations because they don't know any better. Because it shouldn't happen, and they should have someone looking out for them. Like me with my mom, I looked out for her. I was like, hang up that phone right now. Answer no more questions. Hang up right now. Contact your bank. Shut it down.
Mm-hmm. All of that. My run-in with him happened, where was it? I think it was 2013, somewhere around there. And my cousin had called me, and she told me, she said, "Hey, let me check this out. I have this guy from Microsoft on the phone." Immediately when I heard that, I was just like,
Wow.
and
They
and
don't even try anymore.
and well, I mean, this was like 10 years ago, and he said that I have like 316 viruses on it. I was like, ah. She goes, what should I do? Should I trust this guy? I was like, so this is what you're gonna do. He goes, okay, well, he's on the other line, on the other phone. I was like, all right, so this is what I want you to do. I want you to reach in the back of your computer where your internet is plugged in. You know where that is? He goes, yeah. All right, I want you to unplug it and then hang up on him. And then wait for me to get there. And I drove the 4 hours to the coast of Texas to go see my cousins and repair their business because they own they did own a tenting business along the coast, and it was important. And when I got there, oh man, that machine was dogged, and it wasn't from the agent himself. The agent was probably a result of one of the malicious ads that was installed on their main printer for their stickers and whatnot. But man, it was absolute insanity. I know that my aunt had called me up on the same thing. I was like, "Don't just hang up. It's not them. I know that you've been to Best Buy. I know you've used Geek Squad. It's not them. Don't." It's always that too. What do I do? I don't understand what's going on. Luckily, they called me. Because they remember me as the 13-year-old that came and fixed their computer problems back when there was only like two colors for displays.
Oh my god, monochrome. That is going back. Wait, were you using EGA or CGA graphics at the time?
I don't even remember.
Fuck.
Like,
Man, I can remember playing video games in CGA color.
oh wow! Here's what I remember. I remember being introduced to the idea that everything you could do on a computer because my uncle was really great with his Commodore 64, and that was my first taste of video games, being under the age of like 4 or something like that. It's great, right? And I remember being introduced to the concept of being able to connect to other computers, BBSs. Like, oh, that sounds amazing. And it was. I had a friend who had multiple phone lines, and he accepted multiple connections, and people could talk that were local to the area. And then the idea that you could reach a broader audience with services like America Online, which was kind of the same thing except larger, or CompuServe, or things like that. And that was the only way you could go out and surf the net. And it wasn't the internet as we know it today. It was just this intranet that was provided to you that you would subscribe to. It was interesting. And this is before everything really opened up and whatnot. Yeah, those
God,
were
BBSs. Those were the days.
I know, right? The text-based, and here's the reason why I used it: text-based dungeon running. I
Hell yes.
can't remember any of the games for it, but I remember going, "Oh wow, this is like Zork Zero," but I'm actually on the phone.
Oh my god! I actually remember a game. It's gonna be. It was an online game. You had to send this guy money orders if you lived out of the U.S. Otherwise, you could send him a check, and you would get access to his MMORPG.
Mm-hmm.
It was called Zenimus, and it was like a fantasy roleplay kind of game. My favorite part was like all the spells and shit are done in Latin. So if you don't know your Latin, you're going to be really screwed. And if you don't understand how to search for a Latin to English translator, you'll be even more screwed. But I remember distinctly playing a wizard and leveling up high enough that I could get lightning shooting out of my hands, and only ever using that after I got that. Like I went up, I think he got that at like level 9, and I was at level 15 when I stopped playing. But my character's name was Palpatine because I'm shooting lightning out of my goddamn fingers.
But yeah, even still, the scams like that existed there as well, because you can connect to some places that would just fry your machine.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And there was like books where you would go find numbers and whatnot, or better yet, here's the crowning moment of my internet career, and that is being at Southwest Texas State University when it was known as Southwest Texas State University, and getting access to their fax machine.
Oh no.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that was first foray with Telnet.
Wow. I haven't used Telnet since like 3 weeks ago.
I don't even know what that is.
Telnet was used to connect to a lot of like bulletin board services back in the day. Bulletin board services, if you're not familiar with those, for those of you who are not familiar with those, because there's gonna be a lot of people who are under 40 listening to this. A BBS was basically a means of basically it was like a forum board back in the day, and you had to use a dial-up modem. You had to know the phone number to access it and everything else.
Play the modem noise.
Oh yeah, I think I am selected to the right audio input. I think it's this one.
No.
Detected.
No, that's the wrong one. Oh wait, no, that's repairs completed. Oh yeah, I was doing D&D the other night.
Cringe.
No, that's also the wrong one. There we go.
Oh, that beautiful nostalgic noise. Yes.
I love this soundboard. It's so great.
56K. 56K.
I remember using dial-up on ISDN that connected at slower than 14.4, but because it was ISDN, it was guaranteed. It was guaranteed clock rates. And yes, I said clock rates, not throughput. I am fucking old. God damn it. I've been using the internet since before DNS became popular.
Oh, hey,
Hi.
how's that? Hey, I'm going to use a term that you may not have heard in a long time. You ready?
Uh-huh.
Shotgun DNS lines.
Oh my.
No, I mean, excuse me, shotgun ISDN lines.
Oh my.
I am lost.
That's fine. We're about to move on anyway.
ISDN is an old style networking connection that just isn't thankfully, well, it is used these days, but not in the same capacity.
It was the step up before
T1, I
cable,
think.
before cable and
DSL.
and
Oh, yeah.
DSL, ADSL. Yeah, well, it's
Yes.
all DSL, but anyway.
Grandpa, can you tell me how the internet was made?
Talk to DARPA. For those of you who don't know what DARPA is, because there's probably a million of you, DARPA is the Defense Advanced Research. DARPA, Dave quickly Google's DARPA. Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency. I couldn't remember what the P stood for. They invented the internet.
Or you
So
can just
the
go to Ask Jeeves.
excuse me, ma'am, it was altavista.digital.com,
Ooh, Alta
and
Vista. Jesus.
it was all in Boolean searches.
Boolean
Oh,
and yes or no searches.
Yeah,
What? Oh wow.
good God. Well, Boolean was not so much yes or no, because I was asked Jeeves, you could actually ask it questions and it would kind of derive a Boolean search. But Alta Vista, you had to learn Boolean and you had to know it to get it to work. Yeah, it was certainly a thing. And for those of you in the IT industry, if you've ever used older versions of BMC Remedy, like I'm talking version 6, I think it was. If you had to look up a ticket, it was all in Boolean, and they actually had buttons you could click to build an argument to search for something. And anytime you took the training, they're always like, use the buttons, don't type it out, because if you put an extra space, it'll break the whole, query. It's like, wow. Fuck.
Yeah, search engine query language is much easier to deal with now for sure.
Yeah, you can legit ask it a question. Here's me. The problem I have is I will watch someone sit there, why can't I do this? And they type that into Google and they go Google it. And then for me, I just use all the keywords and I like ignore everything else. I get like very different answers.
Thingy, no worky, fixie, please. Yes.
That's what some people look up. And then there's me like PowerShell, if then else, try catch, add, no, what was it? Install module. And then people might be like, how do I use try and catch to install a module in PowerShell? And I'm like, PowerShell install module try catch.
Well, it all does the same thing, right? It's
It,
just
it does, but it's just so funny to watch all these younger people searching in a search engine versus me. And I'm like, you don't know what a keyword is, do you?
well, at least we're not old enough to think that putting in a web address in the Google search engine
Ugh,
yeah, will
shivers
get us to
already.
where we need to go. Ugh.
Ugh.
All right. So let's talk about taxes.
Yeah, who wants to do them? Oh, that reminds me, I've got like 5 days to get mine done. 5 or
Is
6 days?
is Canadian
Wait,
tax
30?
day? Because know in the U.S. it's like April 15th is your deadline.
April 30th, I think, is the deadline. So I got a month and 6 days.
Mm.
But yeah, I should probably get those done. But anyways, speaking of taxes, this is a great segue into Segwinus. No, it's Sanguinius, different person altogether. Anyways, apparently these rum and cokes are going right through me. Sorry. Steam had, I have to emphasize, had a game available that purported to help you do your taxes if you lived in the US. Allegedly help you. However, it has been pulled from the Steam store. I'm not sure why. Maybe for the following screenshot of this game. There's a screenshot that's available in many of the articles we've read. It's a dating sim basically where you're doing your taxes and you've got this woman named Irene in the screenshot who says, "Hee, come on, stand a little closer to me so you can see me better." Is this SSN correct? Now, I shouldn't have to emphasize this or re-emphasize this or highlight this, but I'm going to. If a video game ever asks for your social security number or your social insurance number, Don't put it in. And a dating sim that is saying it's going to help you with your taxes, probably a load of shit. I should have just bought the game for shits and giggles because holy shit, the game looked so trashy.
Let's see here. I'm looking at the article that I sent you shortly before the show. His co-founder Daniel Greenberg subsequently told The Verge Tax Haven 3000 was vetted by Valve in a standard listing process, adding that Steam gave the company no prior notice about its active platforming. So that's interesting. I'm trying to find out in here why it was even taken down because I think it's hilarious. Like everything's.
Oh yeah,
I don't think it's hilarious. I mean, as long as they don't do anything with the information. But then again, it's
I wouldn't trust that. I
no.
would put in bogus shit.
Yeah. Let's see here. While the game appears to be a humorous parody of the U.S. tax system and over-reliance on software like TurboTax, it's now pulled Steam's description, so it appears to imply it will legitimately assist players with filing their taxes. So I guess they took it down because they thought it would actually help you do your taxes.
Sure, I guess that's the reason. I mean, if there's some sort of rule that says you can't have tax software, I don't know. That seems like a weak argument to me.
Oh, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Pulsar Steam description also appears to imply it will legitimately assist players with filing their taxes so long as they are federal. One other caveat is that the tax return forms it produces are only suitable for single dependents, which is what the game's protagonist conveniently is, as already suggested by their willingness to date their anime tax assistant.
Fuck, that's great.
Yeah, that's kind of unrealistic. Just go to TurboTax. If you do, like, if you take out of your freaking, depending on how much you get taken out or whatever, just apply, I guess, to deluxe or whatever. And even if it's for the first year, and they'll just like walk you through it or whatever, and they'll actually have tax experts rather than buying a game on Steam just to be like, a tax expert senpai noticed me. Oh, whoa, I'm single and helpless. No.
Let's see here.
Oh god.
Oh, here we go. Though it remains to be seen whether Tax Haven 3000 returns to Steam, MSCHF is still moving forward with launching it via itch.io in early April. And while the skepticism towards the game expressed by some Steam users might be understandable or even commendable, if Tax Haven 3000 truly is an identity theft scam, MSCHF's track record isn't pointing in that direction, however limited.
Is this
Namely, go ahead.
is this the same game that's asking people to input their social security numbers into it?
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. No.
I mean, so it's so
But I'm waiting for people to do it though.
I'm waiting for. So if number one, unless I trust the software and I can sue the fuck out of them, I don't give anybody my financial information or my personal information ever. Right? Like if I were to play this game, I would just give it a credit card like number, unless it absolutely needed to charge me something. At which point I'd be like, oh, this belongs on the refund list, right? So
Yeah.
yeah. But other than that,
All of my nopes.
indeed. So I would certainly spoof the credit card number because that's like what, a 4x5 number? No, it's 4x4, isn't it? 4 says it's 4 numbers.
Yeah, as long as it doesn't sit there validating credit card numbers, because I mean, I used to know what the formula was for credit card number validation, and I was a giant nerd when I was younger, more so than I am now. But it is a mathematical formula to use to validate credit card numbers. So if you knew how to do it, you could absolutely make up a number.
Yeah, so if there's no validation, I mean, you could totally bypass and play it. Like, can I have your social security number? Okay, it's 323
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Yeah, and then play the goddamn dating sim. Don't do your taxes over a video game. What the hell? Like, no, don't get me wrong. If TurboTax or Jackson Hewitt or H&R Block gamified the tax process with the Google running dinosaur or whatever, I'd be down. Again, something bad happens, I could sue the pants off of them. But don't put your information. So far, the first two topics has pretty much been don't give your information to folks. Like, be careful what you're downloading. Please. Please.
Yeah. Please don't be dumb.
Let's see, other games already tackled similar themes. One such recent attempt came in the form of a lovable adventure puzzler, Turnip Boy Commits Tax Evasion, which released for the Switch and PC in 2021 before making its way to Xbox. Okay, so there you go. There's a recommendation from Gamer Rant, which is where I was reading this article from. Um, Turnip Boy Commits Tax Evasion. The name's already got my interest. I'll probably go check it out after podcast. What the actual? That's hilarious. So, but other than that, yeah,
All of that hurts my brain.
all of it, all at once.
I do not wish to live on this planet anymore.
Speaking of not living on this planet anymore, my topic is not so happy. Normally, whenever we do this, we pick two really serious topics and one lighthearted topic. I'm pretty sure we can end on a high note somehow. But trust is something that's really personal to me, and it's actually affected my ability to do most things this week. Like, I took a look today, and I finally decided to look at the articles. I hadn't touched it in a few days, and there was like 400 new articles, and I'm like, ugh. That's what I was doing whenever we were at the pre-show of today, just looking and seeing what was there. I didn't see all 400 of them, but I can tell you right now, it was mostly Diablo 3 and garbage from Gamer Rant on who made the best mashed potato league statue. So, but trust. And I bring this up because it is gaming related. I have a family member, my brother specifically, who my brother was my buddy. We'd play the video games. He was 10 years younger than I was. He was my buddy. He was my friend. We played all the cool video games. Like, we played Mario Kart when it was released for the Super Nintendo. I helped him like ace his reading class with Final Fantasy VII, right? Like, I argued with this teacher. I was like, "There's no speech." This is before voice acting was a thing in video games. So I made him read all of it out loud and attested to it. I told his teacher, I was like, "Look, it's pretty much a visual novel on 3 discs. It gets played over 90 plus hours." She goes, "Oh, yeah." So he did it. I remember fighting that fight. That was insane. I have a long history and an interesting perspective on video games where I think that you can use it as not only a form of therapy, but as a tool for learning and all kinds of things, regardless of the form that it is. You always pick something up and learn something, or it evokes some emotion from you. Even if it's like absolute rage because the game is garbage, and you learn a lesson not to buy games from that developer, or whatever it may be. About 4 years ago, my brother had a stroke, lost half the use of his body, mostly due to drug use. And he was put in the hospital in a coma for almost a year, pretty much withering away in the hospital. He finally came back to us. I remember being on Facebook Messenger, getting a video chat with him and whatnot. He was freshly woken up. Seemed to be all right. He was glad to see my face. The only thing he wanted to do was talk to me, and I actually talked to him today after this ordeal, and he was like, "I really need you to come down here." And I can't just up and go just yet, because right now there's no danger. He has a place to be at the moment. So why is this important? And I'm relating this to gaming. Well, like I said, he's my gaming buddy. We did the game things. We still did the game things. I went and I visited him not too long ago. Remember when I took that trip to Nevada, Raina, remind me? Yeah.
Yeah.
I went down there and I even visited him in his group home, right? And sat there, played video games, played Monster Hunter. And even though he only has use of half of his body, luckily his face is unaffected and his mental facilities are all there. But he can't use his left side of his body, so his left arm and his left leg are weak or poorly responsive. and I believe it was Ben Levin, or who was the person? There's a person on YouTube that made an accessibility controller, and my brother had written into it, was like, "Hey, that's really neat. I would really like to have one." And this dude was selling them for like $400, and he ended up giving my brother one. And it's interesting. I saw it. It's an Xbox controller, and um, on the right hand, he took and moved the thumbstick to the bottom so he can move around with the with his with his with the like on the bottom of the arm. That's where the thumbstick is. He can move it around on his leg to move his character and use his thumb to actually make turns like you would with your right hand. And there's some things he can't do, but he added some extra buttons. It's very hacky and homemade. It looks really cool. And he actually broke it at one point, and this dude fixed it for him. He sent it in, dude fixed it, sent it back, and he's still using it. So that being said, I had received a call that he was admitted to the psych ward. And I was like, why? And my mother was just like, I don't know. I don't understand what's going on. And turns out the place where he was staying, which is a group home, is a group home or assisted living home, one of the two, had sent him there. And for what reason? We did not know for the longest time, which was really messing me up. Finally got to speak to him yesterday and today and got the full story from him. He was put there by the staff because he had broken too many of the rules. Well, that doesn't make sense. Why? I know my brother. My brother's a strong personality. He really is. Like, he doesn't, like, he might razz you a little bit with his voice, but you don't piss him off, right? He doesn't get violent. I think the most he'll do, and he only has use of half his body, he might chuck something at you, right? And when I finally got to talk to him, he didn't feel well, and he wanted to lay down in his bed. So he asked the person on duty, "Hey, could I get a hand going to bed?" And the person that was to help him and on duty at that particular point said, "Well, why can't you do it yourself? Why can't you do it yourself? Come on now."
I mean,
And, and it's just like, dude, I don't feel very well. It's like, oh, you don't always feel well. Well, they finally helped him into bed, and then they stood in his room. My brother was like, "Hey, I'm not good with this. Can you leave, please?" And they sat there and just stared at him. He's like, "Hey, can you leave, please?" And they didn't move. So he grabbed a cup of water he had next to his bed and hurled it at him. At which point the orderly came over and put their hands around his neck. I don't know if he was choked out or whatnot. Mind you, again, disabled. He can't get around on his own. He needed help getting into bed. He was in bed. And remember how I told you the most he could do is chuck something at you?
yeah.
The person on duty had come and attacked my brother. I don't understand why you would come at somebody who is disabled, regardless of what happened. I mean, yeah, they got you wet. Oh no, but what actually happened? The next thing that my brother knows is that the cops were called, an ambulance was called, and he was brought to the hospital to be put into a psych ward. And the thing about it is that nobody knows exactly what's going on. Why is he there? My brother doesn't know. He said that the EMT folks didn't know because he had to ride an ambulance out there. The cops that were brought out there don't know why they're out there. One of the things that I had picked up and did a bit of research on is that there is the advocacy program for the disabled that is nationwide here in the United States. which I'm definitely going to reach out because I needed to talk to him today and figure out the timeline of things, um, and call them up and figure out what the hell's going. What can we do? And since it's a free service, if it falls in line with whatever the year's priorities are, it might actually get picked up. If not, I'll get resources so that way I can push other resources at it. And that's really what I need. Like, what's the direction on this? So why is this being brought up? It's fucked up. Take care of your disabled folks. 100%. They're your mothers, they're your brothers, they're your sisters, they're your mothers, and they didn't ask to be that way, regardless of what the circumstances were, right? What this facility had effectively done was, after this had happened, they shipped him off, and the psych ward at the hospital will not allow you to use the phone except between like a 2-hour spread, and you can only make 2 phone calls, and they can be 10 minutes apiece. And he used,
The fuck?
yeah, well, it's a psych ward, right? He doesn't have his phone. He doesn't have his laptop. He doesn't have any paperwork. And as soon as I talk to him tomorrow, I'm going to start having him start moving his hand as far as like getting the paperwork, because it's by law he has to be presented with why he was admitted. He has to be presented with why he's being evicted, all that stuff. And if police are involved, he needs a police report, the whole thing. But they incapacitated him and evicted him without notice, with nowhere to go.
Yeah, that's all kinds of fucked up.
Yeah.
Well, not only that, but the fact that they actually physically put their hands on his neck or his throat.
Yeah, that's the part I'm pissed off about. That's gonna be hard. And yeah, one of his roommates, he's just sweet little guy. He's in a wheelchair as well, and he has a huge dent in his head. His name is I'm not gonna give his name, but like he saw the whole thing. What my brother said, and he kept saying he didn't do anything. He didn't do anything, and nobody listened to him. These are also an underrepresented percentage of our population. And I need to call awareness to it that if you have disabled folks, please take good care of them. Really.
Absolutely. A little compassion goes a long fucking way.
Well, if your brother does go to court against them, you can have the gentleman as an eyewitness or have him get a testimony and stuff like that.
That's
You
the other
know,
part about it
especially
too, because now his place to live is at risk. I don't know. Like that, I don't know how that's going to work out. He may not care. And that's the position that they're in. Like, even if they were to get him in there or ask him questions, if he feels that he's in danger because orderlies are going to do things to him, it doesn't put us in exactly the right place to actually support this percentage of our population. But you're right. Like, if he's all for it, yeah, no. Like, and the only thing I can do, I mean, I'm 1,200 miles away. The only thing I can do is throw money as far as I can, and I will.
Well, the thing is, if they're in a bad spot right now, to be able to, if he actually is worried about what's going to happen to him, that's a big issue because, I would be kind of concerned being in a facility that will automatically ship you out and evict you without even a 30-day notice. That's illegal, right? Typically.
Yep.
Yeah. So if you're facing homelessness, because it's like a split moment where it's like, oh, we sent you off to a psych ward or whatever. Uh, you know, I know you're disabled or whatever, but good luck finding, and just cutting you off from, your loved ones and whatnot. On top of the physical abuse, what are they doing to the other? Like, I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, what are they doing to the other patients? This should be audited and investigated. It's probably just not, it's probably hasn't just happened to your brother. It's probably happened to a lot of other people that they need to look into, especially with this associate.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. No, I absolutely agree. That's the hardest part too. There's like, it's taking every fiber of my being not to hop on a plane or hop in my car and just drive out there again. But what is that going to do? Right.
Gives him a voice. Gives him someone to advocate for him.
I can certainly do that from here. If I have to go to Nevada to talk to lawyers, I will. But As far as all this is concerned, I need a path in. He needs somebody he can talk to with legal basis that will go there and force the psych ward's hand and be like, I need to see this individual now. Right?
Yeah.
That's the thing. I mean, yeah, no, I want to be his voice, and I can certainly be his voice from here and make all the phone calls that my mother doesn't know how to deal with this at all. In fact, she about had a breakdown on me today or last night. She's like, I'm just gonna go to bed. I don't know what to do. Like it's stressful. It really is.
None of that's easy, and then of course advocating for someone on their behalf after that becomes even harder because not a lot of people know how to advocate for loved ones.
When
One
you
thing I've learned over the last 20 some odd years of watching various family members get sick and pass away is that family members themselves a lot of the times don't know how to advocate, and they might not want to because they don't know how, or sometimes they want to but they just don't know where to start. And that's a failure of our medical systems, and it's a failure of our doctors and our nurse practitioners and nurses, because no family member should ever feel that their loved one is getting ignored or that their loved one's being mistreated.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, it's a very difficult thing to work with for a lot of people because they don't know what questions to ask.
Well,
well,
And there are lots to ask.
the thing
Sorry, go
is,
ahead.
when
like,
you get in contact with that organization, maybe they'll actually have some kind of legal services or
they do.
directions to go to in terms of, like, even if you can't go out to Nevada, maybe there's some lawyers that are still practicing the pandemic requirements to do Zoom calls or whatever. So it's not inconvenience that way. Um, but if there ever comes time where, like, you have to come down, like it comes down to like maybe a trial or whatever, or something like really, really, really critical, I could see justifying a visit out there for that, just to be by your brother's side
Well,
as solidarity.
well, what would happen is that if once I get the ball rolling and I absolutely have to be there, I'll be there for months, and that's fine with me. It's just I'm taking all the right steps, and I'm not trying to preempt going out there when I don't need to be out there just yet. Um, I mean, my house will run itself. My wife will probably bring in one of her friends to stay with her for the months that I'm gone. But other than that, it would be me dealing with all the legals and my helping my brother do the things that he needs to do. You're absolutely right. And there is services, legal services, which I'm hoping they'll either A, refer me to, or B, take up themselves to go do these things. The thing is that if the police were involved, there's a report. I want to know what's on that report. The EMT dropped him off, it sent him to the psych ward, and they admitted him, and nobody knows why. He doesn't know why, and that's the other part about it too. Whenever you're evicted, you're supposed to be presented with, and this is like evicted from in this special circumstance with disabled individuals, that you have to be provided with the reason, paperwork with the reason why you're being evicted, and whatnot. If your home admits you to a psych ward, they also have to give justification for that as well.
And they can't be like, oh, well, he asked me to leave, so I refused to comply, so he threw water at me because it was the only thing he could do, and I
Hmm.
ended up choking him, so that's when I decided after I choked him that I'd send him to a psych ward. Haha. Like,
Yeah,
no.
they buried him is what they did, and he didn't even know he was evicted until like what, Wednesday, when I told you about this.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it had already been 2 weeks. So it's not a great situation. But other than that, um, that's my message. Um, and I want everyone to take care of their loved ones, regardless of what their condition is. So let's move to our round table. Rena, Jaime, what you got going?
Just, been catching up with Animu.
MU, right? Like, I really think that it should be an X, Animax, like, Animu, you know.
I mean, they do have something called Animax. I think it's a company. But
Oh.
yeah, but I think, uh, like I said, I joke around and call it Animu and Manga or Mango. But yeah, I've been catching up on Trigun, playing a few games on Steam. Not the text, thing, because I've been doing my taxes through TurboTax. Because if
Nice.
you're gonna buy into
You're
something
not going to
like
use random like Steam programs.
the only thing that I'd probably download in that case that would probably be more useful is that one Steam game called The Button, which you're just pressing a button, and that's it. But no, I couldn't imagine justifying buying a quote unquote game to try to help me with my finances. No, thank you.
The button.
Button.
What about you, Amy? I know that you've got plans starting tomorrow if you want to talk about that, but what you got coming up?
This week I have a funeral for a family member who passed away from ALS, which ties in very well to what you were talking about. Care about your loved ones, make sure you advocate for them. If you don't know the questions to ask, depending on their ailment, there's usually groups dedicated to supporting people with those ailments. So get into touch with those groups, and they can help you walk the arduous massive amount of information, usually related to whatever is ailing your loved one. But make sure you stand up for your loved ones. If you think something is wrong is happening, make a lot of noise. Be polite about it and be stern, but you know, make a lot of noise and make sure your family members know that you do care about them and that you will advocate for them all the time. And then after that, just more video games. Currently bouncing Kerbals off the ground and watching various mods freak out and cause rapid unplanned destructions.
Good stuff.
I just realized I do not have a science Kerbal on the ground. Fuck. Oh, I need one. Damn it. I can't run any of these experiments. So I have a pilot and I have an engineer.
Well, other than that, what have I got going on? Well, I already explained most of it in the last segment. It's called the NDRN, is the name of the organization that helps you find your state or your state branch that helps with folks with disabilities. It's called the National Disability Rights Network. I believe it is ndrn.org. And they'll point you in the right place so that way you too can advocate for your loved ones that are disabled and can't do for themselves. Beyond that, I think that I'm probably going to end up playing some more X4. I'm still working towards getting our follower emotes. Maybe one day that will actually happen. I've been trying to stream as much as I can. I think I have kind of a schedule: Wednesdays, Fridays, Saturdays, potentially Sunday. I can't do it every day. Cajun has his stream on Tuesdays and Thursdays, along with a podcast on Saturdays. So, yeah, I'm trying not to compete, but we'll get it. And there'll be ping for everybody.
Woohoo! All the pings.
Yeah, Nordic tonight, I think, is spending time with the family. Little known fact: his wife plays the violin, and apparently some major violinist is in town, and they went to go see that. And anyone who loves anyone will be like, "Yes, let's go. Let's go see your favorite thing." Right? So they're going to go do that. I'm happy for them.
Yee. I did just do some little bit of checking before we started the roundtable here. In Western Canada, going along with your fishing hole, there's actually a fishing store in Western Canada called the Fishing Hole.
Oh no.
Yeah, all they do is sell fishing gear, apparently.
Oh, nice.
I'll
Hopefully
have to
not
see if
GPT. GPT gear.
I'll have to see if there's one in my province, but
Are
yeah,
they
kind of cool.
are they gonna take the bait?
Probably. They probably sell the bait too.
What a catch. Sorry.
My god.
Indeed. Other than that, I will still be continuing to think and work and do all the things for the podcast, to do the podcast, to make life easier. Again, looking to make that conversion from a static Discord reactive images and using more animated PNG tubers and whatnot, so that way we don't get what we're seeing right now currently on screen for those that are viewing live and viewing on YouTube once the VOD goes out, where it's just me lit up and everyone else is dark.
Yeah, what happened to us bouncing around? Did
I don't know.
that break?
I guess. Here, I can change scenes real quick, see what happens. Let's see here. Boop. Because I see
Failtronus
us.
fail.
Yep. Yeah, nope. It's just stuck.
Huh.
That's why I'm like, well, it is what it is, I guess.
Yep. I blame
I was not meant to bounce gravity.
Fox News. I blame Fox News.
Fox News. Absolutely. So, but yep, that's pretty much it. Don't forget, support the Trevor Project or at thetrevorproject.org. You can donate directly through my donation link here on my Twitch channel. Again, with the ads and whatnot, 10% of all revenue streams across all platforms for Luminary Weekly and UDP Broadcast will go to the tretvorproject.org to support the well-being of LGBTQ youth.
Hell yes.
Hell yeah! All right, any final words?
Maybe. I
Yeah.
believe it was.
FBI, open up!
Thank you
I mean, it
very
was gonna be that or because A10 go burr.
I couldn't have said it better myself.
Perfect. Keep an eye out on my Twitter. I was actually thinking about having just a UDP broadcast Twitter, so that way I can separate myself from the podcast, and only for the fact that so that way I can talk shit and whatnot on my own thing, and we could use the UDP broadcast Twitter account to do the things. I don't know. It's out there. We can discuss that later. Right now,
I mean, it's what I do all the time with my stuff, so I highly recommend it.
yeah, I'll have to do it. Maybe I'll open it up with the under the new domain. So, all right. Well, other than that, everyone have a great week and keep an eye out on Twitter for the next episode of UDP Broadcast.
Yee.